My mother-in-law slapped me across the face at Christmas dinner and screamed, "Get out of my house." Everyone froze, including my husband. I grabbed my daughter and walked toward the door, humiliated and heartbroken. Then my husband finally stood up and said, "We're leaving." I thought that was the end of our marriage. I had no idea it was the beginning of the biggest truth my family had ever faced. Because exactly 2 hours later, my father-in-law called me, his voice trembling. "She knows now," he whispered. "She finally knows what you did for this family." The third slap didn't hurt as much as the words that followed. My mother-in-law pointed at my 3-year-old daughter and said, "Take your trash and get out of my house." My husband stood up, took my hand, and said only, "We're leaving." I thought Christmas dinner had destroyed our marriage. I was wrong. 2 hours later, his father called me, his voice shaking. "Your mother just found out," he said. I asked, "Found out what?" He went silent for several seconds. Then he whispered, "The truth about why you were invited tonight, and what my son has been hiding from everyone." The Christmas lights were glowing around the dining room when I realized I had made one terrible mistake. There were 12 people around that table, plates filled with Christmas dinner and desserts my mother-in-law ordered every year. So when my sister-in-law, Vanessa, leaned across the table and said, "You really have no shame, do you?" I knew something was wrong. I looked at her. "What are you talking about?" She laughed. "That innocent act is getting old." My husband, Daniel, shifted beside me. "Vanessa, stop." But she wasn't finished. "You come into this family, take advantage of everyone, and then act like you're the victim." Every eye at the table turned toward me. That night, I asked her directly, "What exactly do you think I've done?" Vanessa folded her arms. "You know exactly what you've done." "No, I don't." She looked at Daniel. "Tell her." Daniel's face tightened. "There's nothing to tell." That answer made my stomach drop. Patricia slammed her hand against the table. "Don't you dare lie to me in my own house." "I'm not lying. You've been manipulating my son for years." My 3-year-old daughter, Emma, sat beside me, quietly playing with a Christmas ornament. I lowered my voice. "Please don't do this in front of my daughter." Patricia stood. "You're worried about your daughter now? After everything you've done?" "I haven't done anything." Vanessa suddenly pulled out her phone. "I have proof." She showed Patricia something on the screen. I couldn't see it clearly, but Patricia's expression changed instantly. Daniel reached for the phone. "Vanessa, give it to me."
"No."
"Give it to me." Then Vanessa looked directly at me. "You should have told them where that money came from." My heart stopped. Daniel closed his eyes. Something much bigger was underneath it. I still didn't know why. I looked at my husband. "Daniel?" He didn't answer. Patricia walked toward me. "What did you do with our money?" "Nothing." She was close enough to see the anger in her eyes. "You expect me to believe that?" "Yes." She raised her hand. The first slap came so suddenly that I froze. The room erupted in shocked voices. Before I could process it, she slapped me again. Daniel stood immediately.
"Mom."
"Stop." The third slap never landed because Daniel stepped between us. Patricia pointed at me, trembling. "You're trash. My son deserves better." I could hear Emma crying. Then Patricia pointed toward my daughter. "Take that trash and get out." That was the moment something inside Daniel broke. He took my hand. "Let's go." No shouting. No argument. Just those 2 words. We gathered Emma and walked out while everyone stared. Outside, the December air hit my face. Daniel started the car, but neither of us spoke. Finally, I looked at him. "What did Vanessa show your mother?" Daniel tightened his hands around the steering wheel. "You need to trust me." "I trusted you tonight. Then tell me the truth." He swallowed. "I will." "When?" He stared through the windshield. "Tonight. But there's something you don't know." My heart sank. "What?" He took a breath. "My family thinks you stole from them." I stared at him. "Did I?"
"No."
"Then why didn't you defend me?" His voice cracked. "Because if I told them the truth tonight, everything would have exploded." I didn't understand. "What truth?" He looked at me for a long moment. Then he said quietly, The reason I let them believe that story. And suddenly, I realized the Christmas dinner wasn't the beginning of the secret. It was the moment the secret finally started coming apart. The drive home felt longer than any drive I'd ever taken. Emma had finally stopped crying. She was asleep in her car seat, clutching the little stuffed reindeer we'd bought that morning. Daniel drove with both hands on the wheel. Finally, I said, "Start talking." He nodded. "You deserve the whole story." When we got home, Daniel carried Emma upstairs. 20 minutes later, he returned. "My family has believed something about you for years," he said.
What?
"That you changed me." "Changed you how?" "Before I married you, I did everything my parents expected. I worked in the family business, visited every weekend, helped my father whenever he needed money. I was supposed to take over someday. And then, I married you." He gave a sad smile. "After that, I started making my own decisions. I moved out. I stopped asking my parents for permission. I built a life with you. And they blamed me? They blamed you for all of it." I remembered every uncomfortable holiday and every comment from Patricia. Every time Vanessa joked that Daniel had become different since meeting me. Daniel continued. "Vanessa made it worse. She told Mom that you were controlling me, separating me from the family, and taking things that didn't belong to you. But I never took anything." "I know. Then why did tonight happen?" "Because Vanessa found financial records she didn't understand." He opened his laptop. "I need to show you something." On the screen was an old bank statement. I recognized the account immediately. Daniel pointed to a large transfer. That money saved my parents. I stared at the number. It was $186,000. "My money," I whispered. He nodded. "Your inheritance. After my grandmother died, she left me an investment account. I kept it separate. 3 years earlier, Daniel's father had nearly lost the family business. They hadn't told me everything. Daniel had come home terrified, saying his parents could lose everything. I remembered what happened next. I transferred the money. Not because Patricia asked me. Not because Vanessa thanked me. I did it because Daniel was terrified his parents would lose the business his father had spent 30 years building. "You told me it was a loan," I said. "It was supposed to be." "What happened?" "They couldn't repay it." Daniel looked down. "So, I changed the arrangement."
How?
"I protected the money through the property." "What property?" "The house." I stared at him. "Our house." He shook his head. "The house my parents live in." I couldn't believe it. "You bought their house?" "Not exactly." He looked at me. "You did." My stomach tightened. "You never told me." I wanted to, but I knew what would happen. He was right. If Patricia knew I had rescued her home, she wouldn't have accepted it gracefully. She would have treated it like another debt I could never escape. Daniel continued. "You told me never to mention your name. You didn't want them thanking you. You didn't want them treating you like some wealthy outsider who bought her way into the family. That was 3 years ago. Why did Vanessa suddenly accuse me of stealing?" "Because she found the original records." He turned the laptop toward me. "She saw money leaving the family account and going through the legal arrangement. But she didn't see the full paperwork. So, she assumed I took it." Exactly. Everything suddenly made sense. The whispers. The accusations. The way Patricia had looked at me tonight. But one question remained. "Daniel, why were you so quiet at dinner?" He looked away. "Because I knew tonight was coming." My chest tightened. "You knew?" "Vanessa told me yesterday that she found the documents. I planned to explain everything to my parents after dinner." "You knew your mother might confront me?" "I thought she'd ask questions." "I never imagined she'd hit you." His voice broke. "I should have protected you better." "This isn't your fault." "Yes, it is. I kept protecting them from the truth." Before I could answer, Daniel's phone rang. His father's name appeared. "Dad." His father's voice was barely audible. "Daniel, your mother found the documents." "What documents?" "The complete file. The one showing who actually saved the house." Daniel froze. "What did she say?" His father hesitated. "She knows now." "Knows what?" "Everything." I thought that was the end of the secret. It wasn't. For the first time since dinner, I wasn't angry anymore. I was genuinely afraid. Not of Patricia anymore, but of what that document could mean for all of us. His father had one more thing to tell us. And that final document would prove my mother-in-law hadn't just insulted the woman who saved her family. She had unknowingly put the one thing she valued most at risk. The call ended, but none of us moved. Daniel was still holding his phone. What did your father mean when he said Mom found everything? The original agreement. What agreement? The one proving the house was never theirs to begin with. He opened the laptop and pulled up a scanned document. My name appeared at the top. I read it twice. 3 years earlier, when the family business was close to collapse, I had used my inheritance to cover the debt. In return, the property had been placed into a protected family trust. My mother-in-law wasn't the owner. My father-in-law wasn't the owner. I was. Why didn't you ever tell me? I tried.
No, Daniel.
You hid this from me. You wanted nothing to do with their money. You told me your inheritance should help us build our future, not become leverage over my parents. That was true. I never imagined the truth would become a weapon against me. Then Daniel's phone rang again. His father. This time, Daniel put it on speaker. Son, his father said, your mother wants to come over. Why? She wants to apologize. I almost laughed. After 3 slaps? His father sighed. She knows what she did was wrong. Does Vanessa? Silence. That silence answered everything. 20 minutes later, headlights appeared outside our house. Patricia stepped out first. Vanessa followed. My body tensed immediately. Daniel stood beside me. Nobody entered until I opened the door. Patricia looked completely different from the woman I'd left behind at Christmas dinner. Her face was pale. Her eyes were swollen. I was wrong, she said. I didn't answer. I believed Vanessa. Still nothing. I believed you stole money from us. You never asked me. I know. She looked toward Emma, who was sitting on the stairs holding her stuffed reindeer. I had no right to speak about your daughter that way. No, I said quietly. You didn't. Then she pulled a folder from her purse. The documents. Daniel opened it. I read everything, Patricia said. You didn't steal from us. You saved us. I felt no satisfaction hearing it. Only exhaustion. You hurt me, I said. I know. You humiliated me in front of my child. I know. You slapped me. She closed her eyes. I will regret that for the rest of my life. Behind her, Vanessa shifted. Then she spoke. I didn't know. Daniel turned toward her. You didn't know, but you accused her anyway. I saw the transactions. You saw pieces of them. Vanessa looked at me. I was jealous. Nobody spoke. She finally admitted, Mom always compared us. You were calm. You had your own money. Daniel listened to you. I thought you were taking my place. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But you lied. I said. I know. Daniel stepped forward. This ends tonight. His mother looked at him. No more accusations. No more financial demands. No more treating my wife like an outsider. Patricia nodded slowly. You're right. Then she looked at me. Do you still consider us family? That question hurt more than I expected. I looked at Daniel, then Emma, and finally Patricia. Family isn't the people who demand loyalty while humiliating you. Her eyes lowered. Family is the people who protect you when nobody is watching. She nodded. I understand. But understanding didn't erase the night. It didn't erase the fear in Emma's eyes. So, I made my decision. We can forgive what happened eventually, I said. But things are changing. Daniel took my hand. We're setting boundaries. No one argued. That was the strangest part. The family that had spent years telling me what I owed them suddenly had nothing to say. We didn't spend Christmas discussing money. We didn't celebrate anyone's downfall. Daniel took Emma upstairs, and I packed 3 small plates of leftovers. Then we drove to a quiet hotel near the lake. Christmas morning, Emma woke up smiling. She didn't know about the argument. She didn't know about the money. She only knew Mommy and Daddy were beside her. She handed me a tiny Christmas ornament.
For our tree, she said.
I hugged her, and in that moment I understood something. Walking out of that house hadn't destroyed our family. It had protected it. Sometimes the truth doesn't tear a family apart. Sometimes it finally shows you who was holding it together. For the first time that Christmas, I stopped wondering whether I belonged in their family. I realized belonging wasn't something they could grant me or take away. My husband and daughter were my family, and that was enough. 2 hours after my mother-in-law slapped me and ordered me out, she learned the truth. She hadn't thrown trash out of her home. She had thrown away the person who had quietly saved it.